Happy New Month and welcome to the month of March. In this month, we're going to be delving into the theme sounds and seasons. What relationship does the song we listen to have with the seasons we are in? What connection does music have with launching us into seasons? Can God use music to stir us in discernment, in direction, and so on and so forth? You do not want to miss any episode this month, and do not forget to share, follow, and subscribe. So, sounds and seasons, not to sound like a broken record, but whenever we mention sound on this platform, we're referring to music. The term season refers to a distinct period marked by a particular condition, purpose, or activity. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. It is very important that a child of God knows by discernment the particular season that they are in. This will guide you on what to and what not to do, the posture to take, the decisions to make, the trainings to undergo, and so on. To further buttress the point I'm going to be making today, let's take a close look at the occurrence in the book of Judges chapter 7. Judges 7:19 to 21 says, so Gideon and the 100 men who were with him came to the outpost of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, and they blew the trumpets and they broke the pitchers that were in their hands. Then the three companies blew the trumpets and broke the pitchers. They held the torches in their left hand, the trumpets in their right hands, for blowing, and they cried out, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And every man stood in his place all around the camp, and the whole army ran and cried out and fled. So we often reminisce on the victory associated with this narrative, Gideon and the 300 men of valor and the yada and the yada. This is the story of Gideon and the Israelites warring with the Midianites. We often reminisce on this story and we hardly reflect on divine strategy and the significant roles that sound played in this victory. So Judges 7:21 tells us of how the Midian army cried and fled. Judges 8:10 tells us the number of this army that cried and fled. The enemy's numbers were 135,000 soldiers. You know why they fled? They fled because they were startled. They were caught by surprise. Pay attention. They were afraid because Gideon and the Israelites had combed through high ground in silence with no sound that could have triggered them to be alert, that could have triggered them to be on the defense. So we can assume that they were either sleeping or drawing, but they were not in full combat mode because they were caught unawares. Then in Judges 7:20, they blew their trumpets, making loud noises, which kept the enemy in disarray. So the Midianites had been a recurring thorn in the flesh of the Israelites. It was now a season of breakthrough for the Israelites. To achieve this, however, the Israelites knew when to be silent and when to blast the trumpets. They knew when to make no sound and when to make loud sounds. Dear listener, it is important that you know by discernment the season you are in. And then you go further to understand the specific role sounds have to play in this season for you. You don't want to blast the trumpets too early. Otherwise, you awaken the enemies and they'll be ready for you. You don't want to be silent when you ought to be blasting the trumpets. Except for God's strategy, 135,000 soldiers at alert will annihilate 300 soldiers. Know the season you are in. Know the role of sounds in it. When to be quiet and when to blast your trumpets. See you next time.